I play Lars. When you first see me in the movie, I'm sitting at a table listening to music. I love heavy metal. That's my music of choice. I Lars is I think a special soul who people will um, maybe have a certain idea of him, and then slowly over the film will have a different idea of him. Um, he's a man of much love and maybe a little bit of confusion.
I'm Danny Ramirez, and I play Ash. And when you first see me in the movie, I am sleeping. And through the film, you'll see that Ash is a very layered person that has a lot of his past that creeps into every single action he does. And throughout it, you'll see the lengths that he's willing to go to accomplish what he set out to accomplish early on. And the cognitive dissonance that turns into full-blown chaos at the end is really it's really energized with his desperation to really succeed and to get ahead in life and to kind of take himself out from under the shadow of this pressure that is continuously on him.
When I read the script, I couldn't put it down, and I then talked to Damien, and the way he was approaching each character without judgment, with wanting to fill out the backstory, really make it a character piece. I just got more excited to see a character-based thriller. It feels a little old school, and I really wanted to be a part of that.
What appealed to me the most about the project that got me really excited to do the movie was after I read it, I realized how the dynamics of all the characters really don't live in an isolated fashion, but they're all interlinked. And being able to play in a single setting with that in mind made it really exciting to know that everything that I had to throw down had was going to have different opposing forces trying to get their own objective through that same kind of like obstacle course, if you will. And everyone's like goals did become different barriers for the others, and there's no scenario in which everyone got what they wanted, and that was really exciting because it really turned the pressure up. And a character like Ash was someone that was just a dream to play, and then speaking with Damien, he had a lot of he was as excited for the character Ash as I was, and cared as much about him, and tried to find a really interesting way into what normally would be a two-dimensional character and really flesh him out, give him life, and give him some form of love. And that's what got me really excited.
I loved working with Danny. We were in quarantine these 2 weeks in Auckland in New Zealand, and about on day 4, I was like, I should get this guy's number, you know. And I found it. I think it was maybe through Havana, and we had a FaceTime, and we talked for it's like a 4 to 5 hour FaceTime. I mean, we weren't doing much else in those rooms, but we really got into each other's, past, and like what understanding each other as actors and as people, which laid the groundwork for us to go to be really vulnerable and emotional within the story. So I really loved. Danny's a very committed actor. Like there's no speck of untruth in what he does. Like everything has to be truthful, and it's really inspiring as another actor across from him, because I feel like it just makes my game better. I want to be more present. I want to bring more to it, and he cares so much. And so acting with you, Danny, or acting with Danny was really inspiring and exhilarating, and I feel like we made something special together.
But working with David, so much of what he said right now is got me really emotional, so it's stopping my reply. But it was after we did have that conversation in quarantine for the 4 to 5 hours, I felt, and I keep bringing this up based on how intense the project got, was that I had an ally and that I made a true friend and someone that understood me and cared about me and made the relationship that we have in this movie be one of the strongest influencers of my entire performance, which was, it was amazing to have someone that through, I think there's just so much of how David operates in the room, whether he's acting or not, that creates such a really beautiful space to collaborate in. And there are so many times that like his words really were the fulcrum point of how a scene went for me. And I think that's like even in moments that he wasn't even filming, like a day that he would just be kind of watching what was happening, there was so much support in that. And then so by the time that when we had to throw down in the movie without spoiling anything, by the time it got to that point, there was just so much trust in that. And it was wonderful every time to come in and play. And it's just based on the security that I did feel from the very early days, to the days we weren't even acting together in the same scenes, to when we ended up acting in the same scenes. There was so much trust, because there's even days that we were offset and we'd have similar viewpoints on the craft and on story. And that was just, it was so wonderful to know that you had somebody that was an ally from the very get-go of first and foremost who you are as a person and who you are as a performer. Everyone was like that on the set, but I think it definitely did help me out throughout the entire film. So, David, you see this? Thank you. He's right there. Amazing. I think Dennis said something really early on that also kind of set the tone in how amazing this experience was. And Havana leading us in the way she led us really also set the tone for the rest of the movie. And in how a lot of the times I think you'd stumble onto an ego or not, but she just, like, from the very beginning, since we're seeing the world through Darby's eyes, really established a lot of the really good traits of everyone's like collaboration in this movie. And so by the time that like it started going down to the wire, there was already this massive trust fall in that amongst everyone.
Yeah, there's so much play involved too, which I know sounds weird in how dark the movie gets, but it felt so spontaneous. And because there was no ego on set and everyone was listening to each other and playing off of each other, it felt like we were throwing a ball around, and everyone would be like, all right, now who have the ball, and I throw it to you, and we're just having a good time. I'm not sure why I bring the ball concept in, but like there's a sense of, it felt so alive every time. It felt like we weren't just saying lines. I felt like we were bringing new things to it. And you have like these older actors who are really established, Dale and Dennis, and they could have come in and had egos, like what Danny said, like, but they had zero. They were really just down to play. And Havana, being the movie hinges on her, she had zero ego too. She was just down to really come in and explore with us. And I think that set the tone from early on, so that we could go to these really intense places together and trust each other.
Yeah. And everyone just genuinely fully cared. Like,
yeah,
like just know, like that's one of the harder things to some people are in the craft that you see that are doing it for a plethora of reasons, but everyone at that table, every discussion that was ever had came from the seed of caring so much for the same story, which is one of the most refreshing things.